Hello and welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, healer, tarot enthusiast, and professional witch, and today I'm talking about the Cauldron, a tarot spread for transformation. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening daily, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. If you love the podcast and want to support it further, you can join the Everyday Tarot Patreon family. Benefits include getting an individual card pulled for you once a month live on the podcast, or if you'd like to support the podcast even further, you can get a one-time individual 5-card reading in addition to all the other benefits if you join the Witch Bitch level on the Patreon. I recently recorded an hour-long video episode for the new moon that we welcomed in on October 21st, 2025. If you missed the live, check out the New Moon Collective Tarot Reading replay, and I will be continuing to do these for the rest of the new moons for 2025. As a bonus for the Queer Joy Summit that wrapped up recently, I created a Queer Coven spooky tarot spread, and I wanted to give everyone a chance to grab it even if you weren't part of the summit. So it is Halloween and queer themed. Also happy Halloween today and Samhain. It's a 6-card tarot spread, and I'll have the link in the show notes to grab that now. It's cute. It's, like I said, it's 6 cards. It's in the shape of a bat. We love it. I was recently on Kayla Moore's Connected Pleasure podcast. You can check out my episode of the podcast here, where we talked all about living by the body, dreaming of land, and weaving the future. I've also had Kayla on my podcast. So I'm working on a whole guests season. So Kayla and I have recorded our episode already, and I have a couple other folks that have recorded, but if I am still looking for more guests to be on the podcast, if you're interested or know someone that might be a good fit, please fill out my form to be a guest on the podcast and I'll get you scheduled. If you want to work with me more directly and perhaps you don't live local to me, I'm offering a Tarot for Transformation workshop kicking off in 2026. We're going to be deep diving the first 12 of the major arcana cards all together as we embody archetypes and learn about how to transform ourselves through the tarot. There's a link in the show notes to sign up to get more information. But yeah, starting in January 2026, we'll be doing 1 card a month. So we will start with the Fool for January, and I'll be doing an intensive or long workshop, probably 2 to 3 hours. We'll take breaks. We'll pull some tarot cards certainly, but we're gonna really see what it's like to embody an archetype. I'm gonna dress up as the different major arcana cards, and it will be a very fun time. If you don't already know, I am a sex and relationships therapist and coach, seeing individual and relational clients virtually all over from my home office. I love working one-on-one with queer, poly, and witchy clients. So if you'd like to work with someone that doesn't judge you, is witchy just like you, and helps you learn how to deal with anxiety, chronic pain or illness, communication issues, self-advocacy, and sex, head to my website and book a free consultation now to start your journey. Maybe you've heard me talk about creating your own tarot cards and you're like, Camille, I don't have the art skills for that. I've seen tarot cards. That's on a whole other level. Well, don't worry. You can learn how to create your own tarot cards using collage. So you can get my full workshop where I walk you through. It's an hour-long recording with my step-by-step method, examples of the tarot cards I've created, journaling questions to kind of help you brainstorm ideas for what you want to create, and a PDF to walk you all through it for just $33. You can click on the link in the show notes to purchase that now. It's a super fun activity, and once you get started and have your initial supplies, I'll give you a supplies list and you can get everything. You might already have it if you're a crafty person, but you can get everything from the dollar store and just start to collage your own cards. Super great activity for the cooler, darker months of the year as we maybe spend more time inside. If you're interested in getting my 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you at the beginning of this year, you can get that for free by joining my newsletter list. My weekly newsletter always has the most up-to-date information on upcoming events, presentations, musings, the latest podcast episodes, and info and photos of my day-to-day life. If you're local and want to meet me in person, you can join my Let's Talk Tarot meetup group. Right now, our upcoming events are celebrating the full moon. I'm holding full moon women's circles for the rest of 2025, so you can join my colleague Izzy and I under the glow of the full moon for an evening of connection, reflection, and ritual. We'll be meeting at Thresholds Collective in Tacoma the first Sunday of the month to welcome in the full moon together. So our upcoming dates are this Sunday, November 2nd, and December 7th. And tickets are already up for both of those events. We still have some spots available for Sunday, but they're running out quick, which is lovely for us. So we're going to have a nice full session this time, which I'm excited about. We always do some tarot. We talk astrology for what the new moon is about. We do embodiment practices, meditation, and then we end with a ritual. So you get everything that you could possibly want in a nice 90 minutes in the evening on the first Sunday of the month. And yeah, come wrap up 2025 with us for the next two. You can find the links for any of these offers that I've talked about in the show notes or on my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, in addition to the images of the cards I pull for each episode. All right, so welcome to season 17, where I'm talking all about autumn tarot spreads. If you haven't listened to my other seasons yet, you can check those out. I've talked tarot basics, frequently asked questions. I've had an episode on every single card in the tarot deck, so 78 individual episodes about those. Recently I talked queer deities in tarot. I've done tarot and crystals. And early on, I also did a tarot spreads season. That one was like more common tarot spread. So daily pull, past, present, future, 3-card pulls, and then all the way up to the 10-card Celtic cross that is well known, but at least for me, a bit intimidating. So I walk you through all of those. So if you're looking for more general tarot spreads, or you're enjoying this season and you want some more, those ones are good for any time. And that was season 5. So it would have been, let's see, probably March, late February, March of 2025 this year. And then, yeah, you can check those out. But anyway, let's get into today's episode, where I'm talking about the Cauldron, a tarot spread for transformation. So this spread I pulled from Worts and Cunning.com. They wrote a blog on 3 different tarot spreads for the season of Samhain. So they have 2 other tarot spreads there as well. There's a 9-card spread called the Hazel Branch, a reconciliation spread. And then they also have Facing Your Fear, a shadow work tarot spread. So we'll see if I come back to either of those. But today we're going to be doing the Cauldron. I wanted a Samhain kind of Halloween specific spread for today, since today is Halloween as this episode comes out. And I wanted something that wasn't too long. So today we just have a 3-card spread. And again, this is from wortsandcunning.com. So this is the Cauldron Tarot spread. And it says, this is all about tapping into the transformative energies of Samhain, which straddles time and space, spiraling between life, death, and rebirth to help you manifest a dream. A great spread for casting during ritual, and with a coven of friends to help you focus on a goal and how to work towards it. So card 1 is going to be the fire, card 2 is the cauldron, and card 3 is the swirling brew. So grab your tarot decks now, and let's get started. All right, so today I'm going to be pulling from the Citadel, a fantasy oracle deck by Fen Inkwright. So technically not tarot, but they are oracle cards. And of course you can use oracle for any tarot spreads, in my opinion. Other people might not say that, but I think you can. Sometimes, you might have to do a bit of interpretation if it feels kind of complicated, but yeah, we'll just see how this one goes. So grab your decks and give them some shuffles. You guys get my shuffling ASMR in these episodes because I like to do it live. Okay, and actually I picked this deck because the colors of the spread on the website are like orangey, red. It has a red poppy flower and then like over top of a cauldron, and that just felt very right for this deck. It has like a lot of red. The tarot deck guidebook is red. It actually has like red ink on the cards, even though it has like black background, and then it also has like gold foil, not totally gold, but something kind of like that over top. So the colors just felt very bright, and the back of the cards are black background and then sort of like with a city, which is what the citadel is, kind of in the middle of it in a diamond that is drawn in black but with a white background. So the back of the cards are black with the white drawings, and then the middle of the card are white with black. All right, I guess I'm wanting to do another shuffle. Okay, so I like to do pull all 3 cards first. So we're gonna start with 1 at the bottom, 2 on the left, and 3 is on the right of our cauldron here. So we are creating a cauldron, and then we're going to go ahead and get into it. So card 1 is the fire, that which inspires you and keeps you engaged with the world and your magic. And in this I pulled the guide, inheritance and correction. Let's see here. So the guide, beneath the thundering echo of a waterfall, a bell rings, clear and compelling, commanding the attention of all close enough to hear. Almost without thinking, you feel your feet turn you towards the waters and the figure beneath. The guide has inherited their position, and the path they walk has been predetermined. It is their role to correct the mistakes made by their predecessor and set things to rights. You're in a situation that isn't ideal, but it's up to you to make the most of it. Holding a grudge against what led you here won't achieve anything. It's time to accept the cards you've been dealt. Once you're on the other side of this, you'll be better placed to reflect on what you've learned from the experience. But for now, it's time to put in some hard work and push through. Interesting. So that which inspires you and keep you engaged with the world and magic. It was very interesting when it was depicting kind of what's on the card. So these cards do that. They're sort of like a D&D style deck, so they kind of set the scene at the beginning of each card. So again, it kind of has a waterfall, and it has this hand that comes out that's holding a bell ringing. I was watching a YouTube video today that was talking about different kinds of sight or clairvoyance, and they were talking about kind of visuals or when you get sounds. And it was just very interesting. That was coming to me as I was like reading about this card, right? We have the bell, you have the waterfall, all these sounds, and you have like the imagery. The guide has inherited their position, and the path they walk has been predetermined. It's their role to correct the mistakes made by their predecessor and set things right. So it's sort of about, again, kind of like inheriting, right? Maybe like generational traumas, or right, like the witch wound of kind of that witches have been persecuted. Women stepping into their power have been persecuted for hundreds of years, if not more. And that we carry that with us even now, even if perhaps you don't identify as a witch. The fear of being called a witch, the fear of being burned or thrown out of society, or had violence done against you, or had your job or rights taken away, like, right, we have inherited that, but now it's kind of time again to set things right. And so, right, we can't necessarily, it doesn't always help to hold a grudge against what came before. It doesn't really help us achieve anything. That's what this card is saying. But it's time to accept the cards you've been dealt. And when we're on the other side of this, we'll be better able to reflect on what we've learned from the experience. But for now, it's time to just kind of like do it, right? That we can get the lessons on the other end, but right now we're just kind of taking steps forward. And I very much feel that if you're listening to these episodes like concurrently, I've been talking about burnout every episode. And so I think for me, it's kind of like, okay, I have some strategies now. I have some things I'm going to try to see how they help and kind of take one day at a time. And yeah, it's kind of time to like do it, right? Stop talking about it, stop worrying about it, and just actually do it. So today I took off from seeing clients. I generally take Wednesdays off from seeing clients. I recorded this podcast on Wednesday. So sometimes I still like to do other things or the podcast when I feel called to it. On my days off of work, even though I consider this part of my work. And then I actually have tomorrow off as well. So we're just going to kind of see what comes through. It feels perfect for this time of year, for Samhain, right? Like, and Halloween, being able to take time for the things that are important to you, take time for, again, settling into the darkness, the veil being thin at this time of year, and all of that. So that is what I feel called to with the guide. So card 2 here is the Cauldron. So this is how your desire guides you and can be transformed into a tool to reshape your life in a way that supports your goal. Okay, the Founder, Foundations and Community. All right, and it's a very like powerful, symmetrical card. I think it's one of the first cards. It's in the first suit, which is the Court. So the Founder, a tapestry hangs in the great hall, wide enough to cover the entire wall. It tells the tale of the citadel's founding, the great battles that were fought, and the first stones that were laid. In the center is depicted the citadel itself, a bastion of peace nestled in the landscape. Among the figures working on the walls, one humble person stands. This is the citadel's founder, the warrior who laid down their blade to pick up the hammer instead. So again, we're thinking about how does your desire guides you and can be transformed into a tool to reshape your life in a way that supports your goal. To build a community, the foundations must first be laid. What sort of a person must you be to support those around you? Someone you know may be asking for help, but you may not be able to provide what they need right now. Assess whether you're the right person to assist them, and if not, work out why. What's holding you back from being the best support that you can be? Now is the time to address any unresolved feelings so that when you build that community, you can do it together. For me, I'm really thinking about kind of this dual parts of community that are always important to me, like it's having some in-person community. I just hosted a housewarming party last weekend, which was very fun, and I had people come drive hours in their day to come spend it at my house and with me, and that was such a lovely community space. I really enjoyed that, and so I'm thinking about how do I recreate that? How do I bring people together in that way? How do I host people on my land? Like, those are definitely a lot of my goals as I move forward. And also I'm thinking about this Tarot for Transformation, these workshops I'm kicking off in January 2026, because I'm really excited about it. And I think this will be a fun way to continue my journey from this year of doing this extremely intensive 5 days a week podcast to transitioning into something different, to taking one card at a time, to really doing research and getting to share what I've learned from the card and kind of have community within that as well. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking of. I also think of my own support system for myself, right? Like what sort of person must you be to support those around you, right? A lot of that is also like, how do we take care of ourselves? Not just to take care of ourselves so that we take care of others, but also like take care of ourselves so that when we want to, when we feel called to, when someone is asking for help and you want to provide that to them, you are resourced to do so. Again, I work with a lot of folks that identify as people pleasers or perhaps recovering people pleasers. I'm in that category as well. So sometimes, right, differentiating between feeling the need to help everyone and who is actually asking for help can feel very different, or what capacity you actually have to do so, right? Again, I've been talking about burnout. Like, burnout happens when we basically no longer have the capacity and we are running on empty, right? Again, if you think of the word burnout, it's like literally a fire has burned out, right? Like it was consuming, it had all this material, and then something happened, something shifted, or it like burned up all its energy. If you live anywhere where you have or learn about a lot about wildfires, right, burnout is like literally what, right, like sort of what we're hoping for often with a wildfire, which is that it burns itself out, right? It stops consuming, it doesn't have any more fuel, or, right, something happens, again, the wind shifts, the rain comes, something like comes in to change its ability to continue. So again, when we think about for ourselves, right, what is coming in and what are you unable to continue going forward? And that's okay, right? Like, again, the way that we want to support our goals for the future, right? If we're really going to take this spread in this time of year as a transformative energy, right? Transformation is challenging. Again, like there's always the metaphor or of like a caterpillar, right, changing into a butterfly. Like, it is uncomfortable. It requires cocooning. It requires writhing and getting out of the cocoon and being all wet and sticky and then having to like dry out before you can then fly away. If you know anyone that or have seen that in like a butterfly house or online during the monarchs when they make their migration across the US to Mexico, people will kind of steward them in their yard and keep them safe and feed them milkweed. But it takes days for them to kind of wriggle out of that space, and oftentimes they don't make it, or they fall, or some other predator gets to them. That like transformation is also a like vulnerable time. Again, we're in the year of the snake, like we're shedding skin. And just like thinking about like transformation takes a lot of energy, and so sometimes or often we actually have to stop doing what we were doing, stop all the requirements or the things that we had told ourselves are mandatory, and we actually have to like, I was going to say roll down our capacity, but it's not even that. It's like burnout is telling us that we no longer have the capacity, even if you were able to do it before, even if circumstances have changed, or you feel the same, like your body often, your brain, your inflammation, your nervous system is telling you like, no, it's not happening anymore. And so, right, we have to also like think of to being in the cocooning, right, stage to reflect. Again, this is a good time of year when the veil is thin to work with your ancestors, and that can be your recent generational ancestors that you may know of or have met, and all the ones that came before, and even just the ancestors of early humans or of the planet. It doesn't have to always look like going to your family tree immediately. I think I've referenced it before. I'm looking for it on my bookshelf. But there's a good book, Ancestral Medicine, that talks a lot about how to connect with ancestors in this different way, by Daniel Four. I'll link it in the show notes if you're interested. I'm just adding it to my notes so I make sure to link it. Okay, after all that, we're going into card 3 now. we're not getting sidetracked, which is so first was the fire, right? We started the fire, then we set up our cauldron, and now we have the swirling brew, right? The thing inside the cauldron. So is the as yet unknown, unfamiliar, or unforgotten energies at work that you can choose to connect to between now and Yule or winter solstice to help you with your goal. All right, so flip over your third card here, and mine is the Shepherd, celebration and family. Okay, so again, this is the energies at work that you can choose to connect to. The Shepherd. On a gentle grassy rise just beyond the citadel, white spotted goats bleat and graze. The sun bathes the hills in warmth, heavy-handed dandelions nod lazily, and all is peaceful. From under a shady tree, the shepherd watches their flock, the bell at the end of their crook ringing out over the slopes. It is a simple life, but the shepherd knows how to celebrate the pleasure of loving and loving well. As a leader and a parental figure, they ensure that their flock doesn't go astray, no matter the weather or the direction. It's time for you to look to your own relationships, family or otherwise, and reach out to them. Just as the shepherd guides their flock, don't be afraid to take the leading hand where it's needed. Someone needs to step up, and right now, that's you. All right. So this is the energy you're being called into, as am I, between now, right? So Samhain and the next high holy days of winter solstice or Yule, whichever you celebrate. Right, so we have, what is it, generally like 6 weeks to think about that, right? And again, this is a very natural time of year to have celebration and family and be around that. So, right, so look into your own relationships. Again, as I was speaking about earlier, right, these folks that came to my housewarming party, we actually talked about going to see Wicked for Good Part 2 together, because I really want to go to a back-to-back where they play Part 1 and then Part 2 showing, so I can get like the full picture, the full 5-hour adventure. So after I end this podcast, I'm going to be looking that up and like inviting some of my friends to it, and hopefully we can get a group together, because that would be very fun. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, so this is what you're being called to, right? This is the thing that, again, if our goal, if the dream is to, right, like be the guide, at least in this reading, right, that the cauldron is kind of the foundation, and then the shepherding, right, is the thing inside, the thing that is actually going to create the dream or the vision. All right, now we have to do it, right? Being a shepherd is not easy. I have been watching deer outside my window all day long today. They've just been very much out and about. And we have lots of predators around here. There's coyotes and bobcats. Those are just the ones I've seen in the like 2 months that I've lived here. I know there have been bears before. I'm sure there are mountain lions. There's also lots of big birds of prey. And I have chickens, so that I pay attention to those things. But yeah, I'm just thinking about, right, like, it's hard to protect animals that are generally prey, right? Which, like, goats or sheep, right? Things that shepherds shepherd, are generally, right, taking care of, right, and using their own eyesight and keeping the flock together to make sure that everyone stays safe, right? Again, so that is like the other way that we are guiding and creating our own foundation, or like setting the foundation for the future, right? Again, as we think about, so this spread, right, is from now until Yule. So then we also, after Yule and winter solstice comes, right, 2026. So I think that's a perfect kind of segue into that. All right. If you'd like to join me on the journey of using the tarot for transformation, you can click on the link in the show notes to indicate your interest, and I'll be sending you more info in the next 2 months. We'll be working together. You can choose to join us for all 12 months of calls. There'll be one a month, probably for 2 to 3 hours. It's going to be a long call, but very in-depth and fun, and won't just be me talking the whole time. We're going to be doing sharing and journaling and being creative, probably doing some dancing in the beginning of the call, because like I said, I'm going to be dressing up. So we're going to be like imbibing like what is it to be each of these major arcana cards, and you can discover what happens when we want to transform our lives through the tarot, which is what I'm envisioning. So links for the tarot decks I talk about in my episodes will always be in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. You can email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com with your thoughts, questions, and more. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.